that means she's doing all right. She's doing a little fussing over there. From Vine Grove, Amanda and Chase Simcoe, they're going to share their story. And that little noise you hear is from Abigail. Abigail is here. She's gorgeous. She snatches that little band off her head from time to time because she doesn't like it. But she's so gorgeous. And she stayed up just so you all could see her. She weighed 2 pounds, 5 ounces, 14 inches, born at 27 weeks. They had to stay at Ronald McDonald House for 73 nights. And if it were not for what you are giving tonight, that stay would not have been their home away from home. Can we love them again, please?
I would like to thank you for inviting us to speak here tonight. We are the Simcoe family. I'm Amanda, this is Chase, and this is Abigail. My husband and I have been together, I'm very nervous, sorry, for 4 years. In April of 2011, we found out that we were going to be expecting our first child. From then, we started planning everything that we could think of. In July, we found out we were having a girl. We named her Abigail. We picked out her crib, her car seat, every detail. We picked the outfit that she would wear home from the hospital in December. Anything that could be planned, we prepared for. On September 22nd, I went in for my 6-month checkup. Everything was normal. I never had the slightest complication. You take her. It was still going great. I went home, and a few hours later, I started bleeding. I was terrified. We were really scared, and we called the ambulance. The paramedic told me I miscarried. That was the saddest thing that I ever heard. When we got to the hospital, they found her heart rate, and that was the best thing that they can. Sorry, she's feisty. The first hospital told us that if she were born there, she could not be saved. So they sent us to Norton's, and they decided that an emergency C-section would be the only way to save her life. She was born at 10:38 p.m., September 22nd, 2 pounds, 5 ounces, and they told us when she was born she probably would not breathe. She came out crying, so she was perfect. The first 5 days, of her life, I spent recovering in the hospital and dealing with the fact that my daughter would be fighting for her life. On the 5th day, they told me that I would be discharged, but Abby would have to stay. This was almost as hard for me to deal with as her early unplanned delivery. I cried and cried. We lived over an hour away, and mommies are just not supposed to be an hour from their new babies. Especially when they really need their mommies. The nurse was trying to console me, and she told me about a charity that housed families of children who were in the hospital. I asked her to check into it for me. An hour or so later, she came in to tell me that she had gotten a room for Chase and I at the Ronald McDonald House. I looked at her confused. The Ronald what? I had heard of this charity through the drive-through window at McDonald's.
It takes a team of 3.
Or on commercials, but I had no idea what it was actually for. The next day, I was checked out of the hospital and still very upset that I could not stay with my daughter. On the drive over, I timed every second it took to this Ronald McDonald House. 2 minutes, and we were there. The 2 girls at the front desk checked us into room 309, and within a few weeks, the baby blues had subsided, and I was beginning to feel more confident that even though we hadn't planned for any of this, things were going to be okay. I had a pretty solid routine down. Each morning I would wake up, make our bed, get milk ready to take over to the hospital, and to do as many mommy things as I could do. I would be back each evening at 5:45 for the meal that volunteers would serve to us almost every day. The more time that had passed, I began to brace everything. I began to participate in group meetings and learned a lot from other families. Before long, Ronald McDonald House was home to me, a normal part of my life. I had pictures set up on the windowsill, clothes in the closet, makeup by the sink. Room 309 was the place I would go to sleep, pump milk for my daughter, make phone calls home, where doctors knew to find me for an update, where I would spend hard days crying and joyful days sharing with others. Anything that new mommies would do in their homes, I did at Ronald McDonald House. One of my favorite pastimes when I wasn't visiting my daughter was washing her clothes, a job I dread now, of course. But going to the laundry room on the 3rd floor and washing these tiny sleepers and onesies without the noise of ventilators or machines was therapy to me. Abby was growing strong and breathing on her own, and life began to feel more normal. 92 days had passed for Abby in Cozare's Children's Hospital. On December 8th, we were told she could finally come home. I was overwhelmed with joy. I went back to our room to pack. When I opened the door, I found myself looking everything over. Is she okay? It was also comforting and familiar to me. This room was what I looked forward to each evening after a long day at the hospital. I felt a sense of sadness that this would be my last day in this room. But of course, I was ecstatic to finally be able to bring my daughter home and begin the life we had planned together. When we were finally packed and ready to leave, we checked out with the girls at the front desk and erased our names from the bulletin. It was a bittersweet day. They say if you want to hear God laugh, tell him your plans. I had spent 6 months planning every detail of the future from our new family, and not a single thing went according to plan. But thanks to Cozare Children's Hospital and Ronald McDonald House, our family got a perfect head start in our life together. In closing, I would like to share a verse, Matthew 25:36. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. To my family, this charity was more than a house. It was a home. Thank you.
And there you go. That's the reason why we are doing what we're doing. And we thank you for sharing your story. Miss Abigail, thank you for the wonderful noise. Get her ribbon, Daddy. And I'm going to tell you,